You've probably heard the claim, if you masturbate too much, you'll ruin your erections. Some men whisper it like a secret, others shout it on forums as if it's gospel. But let's be honest, this fear has haunted guys for decades, and tonight we're cutting through the noise, because here's the truth. The science tells a very different story than the myths you've been fed. Think about it. Masturbation is one of the most natural human behaviors, yet it's surrounded by guilt, shame, and scary warnings. Guys worry that one day they'll wake up and things just won't work the way they used to. That fear alone is powerful enough to shake a man's confidence in the bedroom. But is it justified? Stick with me until the end, because I'm going to break down exactly what science says, what your body is really doing during sex and masturbation, and the 5 simple steps you can take if you're worried about your erections. One of these steps is something almost no one talks about, yet it could completely change your performance. So before you click away, ask yourself, do you want to keep living with the nagging question, am I damaging myself? Or do you want clarity backed by real evidence that will let you relax and enjoy your sex life again? If it's the second option, don't go anywhere. This video isn't about scaring you. It's about giving you straight answers, practical solutions, and peace of mind. Let's dive in. Before we talk about masturbation, we need to understand what's really going on inside your body when you get an erection. Because once you know how it works, you'll see why the story is much bigger than just whether or not you touch yourself. Picture this, your penis is like a water balloon. For it to inflate, blood has to rush in and stay there. That's controlled by your blood vessels, tiny muscles, and nerves that all coordinate like a team. When you're aroused, your brain sends signals down the spinal cord that tell the arteries in your penis to open up, letting blood flood in. At the same time, veins that normally drain the blood start clamping down so everything stays trapped inside. That's your erection. But it doesn't stop there. Hormones like testosterone are running in the background, making sure your sex drive is alive and your tissues stay healthy. And let's not forget the mental side. Stress, anxiety, or even a single bad experience can shut the whole system down. One distraction, one negative thought, and suddenly the body doesn't respond. Now here's the key point. If you're having trouble with erections, it could be your blood flow, it could be your nerves, it could be your hormones, or it could be your head. It's rarely as simple as too much masturbation. Understanding this system is like looking under the hood of a car. Once you know how it runs, you'll know where the real problems usually come from, and where to focus your attention. All right, now that you understand how erections really work, let's tackle the big question. Does masturbation actually damage that system? And here's where the facts start to crush the myths. When scientists look at large groups of men, the results are clear. There's no strong evidence that normal masturbation causes erectile dysfunction. Most healthy guys can masturbate regularly and still perform just fine in the bedroom. In fact, many doctors consider it a normal part of sexual health, no different from exercise for your body. But here's where the confusion comes in. On the internet, you'll find stories of men swearing that porn or daily masturbation broke their erections. And those stories feel powerful. But when researchers dig deeper, they often find something else going on: stress, relationship issues, health problems, or unrealistic expectations created by years of watching extreme porn. Those factors can interfere with arousal, even if the plumbing itself is working. Think of it this way. If you run into erection issues after masturbating for years, it's easy to blame the habit. But the real culprit could be clogged arteries, low testosterone, anxiety, or even certain medications. That's why doctors say masturbation by itself isn't the villain. Here's the takeaway. Research doesn't support the idea that touching yourself will automatically wreck your sex life. What it does show is that erectile dysfunction is usually multi-layered. Physical, emotional, and lifestyle factors all play a role. And if you ignore those, you're missing the full picture. So if masturbation isn't the main villain, why do some guys still swear it's wrecked their sex life? The truth is, while it's generally harmless, there are certain situations where it can create issues. And this is where things get interesting. First, let's talk technique. If you've been using a very intense or unusual way of stimulating yourself, like squeezing too hard or moving too fast, your body can get conditioned to only respond to that exact type of stimulation. Then, when you're with a partner, the normal sensations might not feel strong enough. It's not permanent damage, but it can make arousal harder in real life. Second, porn. There's nothing wrong with a little adult entertainment, but if you rely on it heavily, especially extreme or unrealistic stuff, you might find that your brain becomes wired to need that level of stimulation. Suddenly, when you're with a partner, the real thing feels less exciting. This is sometimes called porn-induced erectile issues, and while it's debated among experts, many men report struggling with it. Third, injury, rare but it happens. Aggressive or careless masturbation can actually cause strain or trauma to the tissue. Most cases heal, but some can lead to lasting sensitivity changes. Here's the big idea. Masturbation isn't automatically harmful, but the way you do it, how often, and what you pair it with, like porn, can tip the balance. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to taking back control of your erections and your confidence. Now let's get practical. Say you've noticed your erections aren't as strong as they used to be. How do you know if it's a physical problem, like blood flow, or if it's mostly in your head? This is one of the biggest questions men struggle with, and figuring it out can make all the difference. Here's a simple test you can try. Ask yourself, do I still get erections when I'm alone? If you can get hard while masturbating, or if you wake up with morning wood, that's a big clue your body is working fine. In those cases, the problem is likely psychological: stress, anxiety, relationship tension, or pressure to perform. The mechanics are intact. It's your mindset that's throwing things off. On the other hand, if you struggle to get an erection both during masturbation and with a partner, that points more toward a physical cause. Maybe it's poor circulation, low testosterone, nerve issues, or even side effects from medication. In that situation, it's smart to check in with a doctor. There's another layer too. Sometimes it's a mix. A guy might have mild physical issues, but the stress about them makes everything worse. The brain notices one failed attempt, and suddenly you're in a cycle of performance anxiety. Here's the key: your body gives you hints. Pay attention to when and where erections happen. That information can guide you to the right solution, whether it's stress management, a lifestyle change, or a medical checkup. All right, now that we've separated myth from reality, let's get into what you can actually do if you're worried about your erections. These are 5 practical steps that many men find helpful, and they don't involve expensive pills or quick-fix scams. Step 1. Take a porn break. If you've been glued to a screen for years, your brain might be wired to expect constant novelty. Try cutting it out for 2 to 4 weeks. Many guys notice their natural arousal returns when they give their mind a reset. Step 2. Change your technique. If you've trained your body to only respond to one style, like a death grip, it's time to switch things up. Slow down, use lighter pressure, or even stop for a while. It retrains your sensitivity. Step 3. Move your body. Cardio, lifting weights, even walking 30 minutes a day, these all improve circulation. Erections are all about blood flow, so what's good for your heart is good for your sex life. Step 4. Manage stress. Anxiety is a silent erection killer. Deep breathing, therapy, meditation, or even just better sleep can reduce the mental blocks that shut you down in the bedroom. Step 5. Get checked. If the problem sticks around, see a doctor. Erectile issues can be an early warning sign of bigger health concerns like diabetes or heart disease. Catching it early could literally save your life. These steps aren't about shame. They are about giving you control back. Small changes today can lead to big improvements tomorrow. By now, you've got the science, the risks, and the steps you can take. But let's be real, information is only powerful if it sticks. That's why I want to give you some key lines, little aha moments that should stay in your head long after the video ends. Here's the first one. Masturbation itself isn't the enemy, your habits are. Think about that. It's not the act, it's how you do it, how often, and what you're pairing it with that shapes your experience. Second, morning wood is your body's report card. If you're still waking up hard, your system is working. If you're not, that's a red flag worth paying attention to. Third, porn isn't poison, but it can be training. If you only train your brain on extreme scenarios, don't be surprised if reality feels dull in comparison. Fourth, what's good for your heart is good for your erections. Every workout, every clean meal, every night of solid sleep, you're not just protecting your health, you're protecting your sex life. And finally, one failed erection doesn't define you. Too many men spiral after one bad night, turning a single slip into a pattern. Break that cycle, reset, move forward. These punchlines aren't just words, they're anchors. Keep them in mind the next time doubt creeps in. They'll remind you that you're not broken, you're not doomed, and you've got more control than you think. So let's bring this home. We've broken down the myths, the science, the real risks, and the practical steps. Here's the bottom line. Masturbation on its own is not the reason most men struggle with erections. The real picture is bigger: blood flow, hormones, stress, lifestyle, even the way you train your brain. If you've been worried that touching yourself ruined you, let me ease that fear right now. Your body is built to handle it. The issues show up when it becomes extreme, when it's paired with unrealistic porn, or when you ignore the bigger health factors that truly matter. But here's the encouraging part. You're not powerless. Small changes, like taking a break from porn, changing your routine, exercising more, and lowering your stress, can create massive improvements. And if you notice the problem sticks around, seeing a doctor isn't something to be ashamed of. In fact, it could catch a health problem early and give you years of better living. So what do you do next? First, try the 5 steps I shared. Give yourself 2 to 4 weeks and see what changes. Second, listen to your body. Your erections are a signal, not a punishment. And third, share this message. Too many men are silently stressing over something that can be managed, improved, and understood. If this video gave you clarity, hit that like button, subscribe for more real talk on men's health, and share it with someone who needs the truth. You're not broken. You've just learned how to take control.